All right, time for another DraftPhysics.com, debatephysics.com also. But absolutely no point in having a website, frankly. Google will produce no search engine references, so nobody can find my website by searching on any of these subjects. Um, these elemental physics subjects. It just doesn't happen. I've never experienced that, frankly, as all the time I've been on the internet, I've never had this where you don't get any search engine traffic. Zero. So you're just like, again, why, why am I bothering being on the internet? Just really disgraceful. Okay, then, all right, I'm still having this shit with the browser. So what they've done, right? I mean, I still can't figure out exactly why they're doing what they're doing. Because it's just so petty and stupid. But they're blocking me from being signed in. Okay, I can view comments on my videos, but I can't see my subscription page. And if I load a video in a regular non-private window where I'm not signed in, it doesn't display anything but the video. No comments, no referral videos, nothing. And I was thinking about it. I'm saying, why are they doing that? Why can I view them in a private window, but I can't view them in a regular window, right? I mean, that's just such a weird browser defect. And I realized they're trying to prevent me from commenting. Yes, I can't comment on a video if I'm signed in, right? You have to be signed in to comment. So they're saying I can't. And the only comments I've ever made are the ones you know about, where I just post a link to a response video. So they basically are telling me I'm not allowed to post links to response videos on other people's videos, and this is the way they're stopping me. Yeah, it just seems so fucking petty and silly. You know, I really, you know, it really should be. The internet should be sued, okay, for just fucking it. Just fucking all notions of free speech and all the rest of it, because Google is deciding who is a real person and who isn't, and they're not doing it by any kind of rational standard, and it's worse than the whole 1960s thing where you fight for all of this, I'm a human being, I wish to be treated like a human being, and no, you're not. We've lost all of our civil liberty and right, and given it to these silly, just absolutely silly lying corporations. Again, Google was founded making the argument that there needs to be a non-commercial alternative, and it became the most commercial company on the planet. I mean, the irony is so fucking thick, and none of you care, and it's just so depressing. So, and then they stopped my shorts from being viewed. So my shorts, the short videos I posted, they got 400 views average, and then all of a sudden they got 40. So there's just no point. They're just saying don't publish on the internet because we're not going to allow you to do anything about. It's kind of a waste of your time. And I'm really not going to get. I'm certainly not going to get an Elon Musk, Twitter account. Fuck that in the ass. And I have no interest in Facebooking. So, without references, and my audience is useless. It's just a fact. They're just quite useless. So, is there a point in making videos? I'm just talking to the same morons who can't understand anything. I mean, they're so fucking stupid. God fucking damn it. So before we get to mindless as marbles, is silly. It's so fucking silly. You're just saying, how could you make these fucking silly arguments? This is such a waste of fucking goddamn neurology to have to sit there and argue this crap with you morons. I mean, your denial is so stupid. It's so insipidly stupid. So I was thinking about, one of the Dispar, labs cheater. He never redid the milk carton experiment, right? So he cheated, created a fake video, never redid it the right way to show that, yeah, they do have the same energy. You just cheated the experiment. And so he's done the same thing now with this, the stupid wooden block thing. I won't even talk about it, it's so goddamn dumb. But, in this newer experiment where he piled the weights on the lever, and, it's just such bullshit again. So will he do it right and then publish the results? Because if he does it right, it's going to come out my way. All right? And that's the truth. And so is he going to be honest and say, oh, yeah, well, that was a wrong theory I applied? Oh, I mean, these people are just so bad. So anyway, I was thinking about the stupid free momentum thing. All right. And again, let's understand. Yeah, their theory is that I make this weight heavier. Okay, what I'll actually do is put twice the energy into the object, even though it doesn't move, and I'll get 100% of the energy back. Okay, and getting 100% means I didn't put. Oh, wait a minute. I get 100% back, but I don't get 100% back when I hit a smaller object and it moves less. But if I make it heavier, I'll get 100% back. And I'll put 200% into the object, even though it doesn't move. So it has momentum, but it's not moving. It's just so fucking dumb. All right, well, anyway, I was thinking about it, and I was saying, oh, you don't even need the timing gates, right? So if you just make a pedestal, okay, of a certain height, and then you're going to let the little ball just fall off it. You're going to move the pedestal this way. The ball falls. It's on a pendulum, right? And then it's going to come down. So no 3 here for now. Just for it doesn't really matter. Go ahead and leave it there. You don't even have to do the experiment, right? And you just make one that's 1/4 of that height. And it would be kind of neat to make one that's 1/8 of that height. Okay, just for the fun of it. All right. And so you just do the experiment, okay? You take, well, first you have to position these so you know exactly where they should be. So you take the one object and you drop it off of this. You slide this little one off. So you know exactly where the point is. You mark it where that falls off the pendulum, where the pendulum is free, so it can move without hitting it. And then you just move it a tiny millimeter further back. Okay, so it's 1 millimeter this way from half the velocity. All right, and then you have your twice as high one. It doesn't matter. You don't have to measure it because it's going to fall off of it. All right, so you just just get rid of this drawing and keep this one here. Yeah, right. Well, you just could start over, moron. Well, at least I'm not an idiot. Anyway, all right, so you just do the experiment now. So this is back 1 millimeter, so the ball won't hit it. This one comes in. All right, we know where twice the velocity is, right here. Didn't hit it. Okay, and so then it hits, and it's supposed to be coming back. I say it comes back with 1/4 of the velocity. 1/4 is with a 4. All right, and so but if it comes back all the way, and it almost is as high as this pedestal, well, then you'll know, yes, that's half the speed. So you don't need a timing gate, you don't need nothing. All you need is your 3 mass and your 1 mass. Right, and you did it. So just film the experiment, let it slide down here, and if it comes back to the 2x the velocity block, well, then, if you have this arc, okay, so it's almost as high as the top of that block, well, then you got 2x the speed. Obviously, you're going to lose some energy here. Again, he still hasn't done it where he just shows us how many times it goes back and forth. So we don't even know how elastic the things he's using are, frankly. But anyway, that's that would tell you. And then if the 1/4 block is like here, well, then that'll tell you it went way past the 1/4 block. All right, so simple enough. That's what an experiment that's going to be more persuasive, let's say. This will be a more persuasive piece of evidence. All right. But let's see if he'll do it, right? And let's see if he'll do so I just draw his silly lever thing one more time. So he did an experiment with a stick, and he put a weight on it. And so that's the 1 mass. And then he added 3 more masses here. Okay. And you could obviously kind of understand this swings on a much lower arc, less distance, less h. The height is different, okay, than this height, okay? So obviously it doesn't fall a full unit of distance, okay, because the arc is much smaller. So you can't do it that way, all right? It's cheating the experiment. You have to make sure that your weights have the same center of mass. So you have to take the center of mass of the lever, so you could take it with your one weight on it, and then you could understand that you probably should have a little extra lever there, and then you can add your bigger mass proportional, so the center of mass is in the same location. That's what you want. Well, it should be in the center of this circle, actually. But that's how you have to add the weight. The weight has to have the same center of mass. Can't have the center of mass here for the heavy weight and the center of mass here for the lighter weight, because that means this falls a short distance and this falls a big giant distance. So let's see if I'm going to do it. Because it's already obvious that the answer isn't going to be his answer. Because even with the cheat, the 4 mass had more momentum. So obviously, without the cheat, the 4 mass is going to gain a lot more momentum. Let's see if he does it. Does he have any integrity at all? I mean, he keeps cheating experiments. I explained the cheat. I explained the simple mechanism to get rid of the cheat, and he doesn't fix it. So dishonest. All right, I won't even talk about, Ian Gossling is so stupid, but Piro and Mindless Marbles are defending this shit. And you're just like, how can you make this argument? I mean, how can you possibly be this stupid? All right, so he quotes me saying, "Do you believe that if I slide across ice quickly, that I put the same pressure on the ice per inch," would be the argument, or per the whole fucking piece of ice? It doesn't matter, right? I mean, the ice is a whole continuous, even if it's a stream. I had to cross streams, with thin ice. And you're sliding across the whole stream. The whole piece of ice. That I would, if I slid across slowly, or not at all, if I just stood on it, or spun on it, like Ian Gossling suggested. Do you think the same pressure goes into the ice? And he says, yes. So no matter how fast you go across this scale, the scale will read the same? It can't possibly. I mean, it takes time to move the scale. See, I could put it in slow motion and you could see that this doesn't instantaneously move the scale. It takes time for the scale to move. So you already know that, well, the scale's not possibly going to read the weight. And you're arguing that somehow ice is a better scale than a scale? Well, no, it isn't. It has the same limitation. It's measuring pressure in units of time. It's just a fact. And it takes time for something to be heavy. It can't be heavy without time. Now, unless you give it a super fast velocity into something, and then the time is going to be so short it won't make any difference. But we're not talking about throwing rocks at thin ice. We're talking about friction. And the theory is that there's less friction the faster you move across. So again, this is... I really don't think if I had a classroom of 5th graders, let's say, and I told them, look, if I put a road here and a road here, and I roll something across this, that if I roll it slowly, it's going to compress the scale. And if I roll it quickly, it's going to compress it less and less, depending on how fast I roll it across. That there's just going to be literally less pressure. And I could actually do this with, like, a human being could literally survive. If you cut a ditch in the asphalt and you put a human being in it and then you drove a car really fast across it, the human being would survive. Because the weight isn't instantaneous. It takes time for gravity to give you 9.8 meters of velocity. It gives you a little tiny bit in a tiny bit of time. And I don't know how they can't understand the simple argument. So he says, yes, the same pressure by virtue of the fact that motion does not reduce gravity. Well, no one's saying it's motion's reducing gravity. It's the point is that the motion means that you're putting less weight on a surface per unit of distance. That's what it means literally. It's less gravity per unit of distance. Okay, you are still pulled by the same force of mg. So again, no, you're not. It's mg something. It's time. You say it's mgh, but you have to have a unit in there. It's not just mg. Okay, it's 9.8 meters of velocity per second, per 1 second. Okay, 1 second of time produces that much pressure, that much momentum. How can he make these arguments? So I don't know if I need to read my sandpaper argument, okay? But here, obviously, if you don't put any pressure on the sandpaper, it doesn't do much. So you do have to apply pressure for the sandpaper to have more friction. Without the pressure, the sandpaper doesn't do anything. If I drop a piece of sandpaper against a piece of wood vertically and I just let the paper slide down, it's not going to do much work. It needs to be pushed into the surface. All right, and he says, in the analogy, the strength of gravity corresponds to how hard you press on the paper. Yes, that's the analogy. Gravity does not change when you move fast. So he keeps saying the same thing, and no one's arguing that the gravity has changed. What's changing is how much space you're applying your 9.8 over. You're getting 9.8 per 1 second. So if this is 1 second, because you're going really slow, then the 9.8 is over this small amount of distance. If you go this really fast, then the 9.8 is applied over this large distance. I mean, duh. All right, changing how hard you press on the sandpaper, which is the same thing as moving the paper slower. Okay, more pressure, more gravity. The weight, again, the weight is on some object. If the weight is moving, it's less weight per inch because it's only 9.8 per unit of time. All right. Hard you press on the sandpaper is not valid because gravity applies the same force on the object on the surface of the earth constantly. So again, it doesn't apply the same pressure per square inch if the object is moving. If it's moving, it's applying its per second force over larger and larger areas of space. All right, DraftScience is spouting complete nonsense when he makes this analogy, so it's just idiotic. He's saying the sandpaper presses into the wood regardless of whether it's moving or not. It has the same pressure. Again, the weight has the same pressure over every square inch. So if my finger's here and my finger's going to feel the pressure, that's the same pressure no matter how fast or slow I move it. It's just idiotic. Too stupid. So I don't know if there's any point. I didn't even read this other one. Let's see. He makes an argument that already shown to be fallacious. He uses a scenario where moving through gravity faster means that you will be affected by less gravity. So I don't say that, so he's not quoting me. You're not being affected by less gravity. You're collecting less gravity per square unit of distance. So I can have a bucket standing still and I can collect rain in 1 second. Or I can move the bucket and collect rain in 1 second. It's the same amount of rain over this large distance, the weight of the bucket, versus the same amount of pressure over one tiny area, 1 unit of distance. Huge difference. All right, the key part is at 32, where he takes the scenario in which gravity varies significantly while something moves in an orbit around the Earth. So there was no orbit in the goddamn. So just a fucking, these people just lie and lie and lie. So I've drawn this a fucking 100 times. Literally, it's 100 times. And this guy just lied again. I mean, they can't do anything honest. They can't participate in any kind of, with any integrity at all. So just for posterity, just understand, when I say you should piss on these fuckers' graves, I mean, you should take me seriously, because this is how dishonest they are. Alright, so I've drawn this so many times. You're not in a fucking orbit. You're flying from point A to point B. There's no fucking orbit. Okay, you're flying past something that has gravity, and we know I could make the gravity an infinitesimally small object. I could convert it into this little tiny thing. All right, and so you know the gravity is strongest here and it's weakest over here. And the fact is there's a certain total amount of exposure to gravity that you're going to have from this object, okay, in terms of, just like if it was light. There's a certain number of photons, so to speak, coming out, just like light. That's the inverse square law. All right, and in this case, gravity, it's the opposite. You're getting pushed in instead of pushed out, but it's exactly the same force scenario. Okay, the simple truth is it's just like a paint sprayer. Okay, except the spray is going this way. Okay, instead of coming out of the object, the spray is going into the object. And the simple fucking truth is, if I go fast from point A to B, less of this force will affect me. I will be bent very, very little, absolute fact. And the slower I go, the more 9.8, 9.8, 9.8, 9.8, 9.8, 9. The more momentum I gain in this direction. So I'll gain more and more speed in this direction. The faster I go, the less speed I gain in that direction down. And the slower I go, the more I gain. Absolute fucking fact. Again, 5th graders could understand this. 5th graders could imagine a light bulb in reverse. And understand that the stuff is flying to this one place and it's hitting them in behind and it's going to push them. And they can understand that the quicker they go through the spray of the force, the less force is going to be hitting them. Oh, god damn. These are so fucking dumb and dishonest. Alright, so let's see. Moves in an orbit around the Earth. So I never said anything about a fucking orbit in the video. It's just a lie. And then without justification just says the same applies to examples on the surface of Earth where gravity doesn't vary much. What the fuck are you talking about? The point is gravity doesn't vary much for very large distances. You go miles up and it's still 9.8. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, the force is the same through all of that. And the fact is, if something is moving already 500 miles an hour and it goes into a gravitational field, and here's the object, and so it goes through the 3 miles in a half a second, it's only going to be going 504.9 meters per second. Just a fact. It's not going to gain anything from the gravity. Oh, these people are so dishonest. I just can't. And then it gets down to this rolling thing. So I don't want to know if I want to mix these subjects. But anyway, all right. So what's all these quotes? And then, do you have something else to say? I mean, quoting me doesn't make much sense unless you're going to actually have a counter argument. And so obviously when you're rolling something across the surface, it's the same argument. The slower it's going, the more gravitational force is falling on it. Yeah, it's a per second. You gain quanta of momentum per second. Okay, so it's like any one of these analogies, rain or paint or photons. I made that clear over and over. It's collecting it like rain. The faster you go, the less weight it collects from the gravity. Okay, and the less force it puts on the ground. So it's just obvious it needs time to collect energy from gravity. You can't collect it instantly. You have to be in it for a while. And if you're not in it very long, you won't get hit by any of it. Absolute fact. The faster it goes, less force, slower it goes. The more force into the ground. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. And so obviously when you're rolling something across the surface, it's the same argument. It isn't. He said, oh, okay, so he's saying it isn't. Now see, you could put that in bold or do something. He's got all these my quotes, and then he has his own statement there, and that's it. That's all he said. It isn't. The slower it's going, the more gravitational force is falling on it. It's collecting it like rain. This is literally untrue. So where is it untrue? Show me a single example of any experiment in the goddamn real universe. All right, don't tell me that spinning in one place is the same as moving across the surface. Okay, that's a little too silly, right? So he says, see Ian's video. It's a nonsense video. So he's got nothing here. The faster it goes, the less weight it collects from gravity. Okay, and the less force it puts into the ground. So that sounds like you just recited what I said already. You can't make something lighter by moving it near the surface of the earth. I don't know what do you mean? No, there's no argument that you're making physically it have less mass. You're saying for you to collect its weight, that is to collect its momentum, it has to acquire it first. It can't acquire it if it hasn't had any time to acquire it. All right, so there's a way I can illustrate that, so I'll illustrate it, and then I'll read Pierrot's stupid comment, and then I'll get the hell out of here. There's no point. There's no conversation with intelligent life form to be had here. If an alien showed up and made a website and got a YouTube channel, this is what it's going to get as a counter argument? These morons? This is what's going to represent physics and earthlings? Oh, god damn. Too stupid. Alright, so let's try one more way of explaining it. Alright, so this is the simple argument, right? You're going to shoot something off the edge of a cliff or whatever. Alright, so you're just launching something like a bullet or whatever, and we know what it does. Okay? Now we know in this moment of time, it doesn't instantly fall, okay, to here. It doesn't happen. Right? So it didn't put any pressure going this way. It hasn't acquired any motion in that direction, right? In these little tiny millimeters of space, you could argue it has acquired no, almost zero downward velocity, right? Get real. And the faster it's going, obviously, 1 second could be this whole thing. This could be 1 second, all right? This whole travel could be 1 second. Depends on how high this is, right? So if it's 10 meters, no, if it's 4.9 meters, okay, it'll take it 1 second to fall 4.9 meters. So in 1 second, it'll fall 4.9 meters. Now, in this piece of distance, it didn't fall 4.9 meters, not even close. So you need the full second for this to happen. So in 1/10 of a second, it's only this. And in the second tenth, it's that. And in the third tenth, it's that. And then fourth tenth, well, I should do the lines here, right? That's that. And then it's this. And then it's this. And then it's this. That's the way it falls. Okay? And it's the same. The reason why this is a parabola, okay, is the same reason that Galileo pointed out, the 1-3 thing, okay, is that it's gaining faster, it's going faster and faster, so it's going it's a little tiny bit of pressure, right, a little tiny bit to start, and then it does the 3 thing, and then it does the 5 thing, and then it does the 7 thing, okay, so it's covering distance, it's increasing its velocity. And so that's why it's a parabola. It's because it's not falling at some constant rate. It's falling at an accelerating rate because it's gaining more and more collected velocity. It's collecting a little bit of velocity. So instead of at this one little point, right, we're changing the 9.8 bits, we're changing the seconds. So, it's only, if we go 0.1 second, then it's not 9.8, it's 1. Yeah, 1 in 1 second. 1 meter per second. All right, and then in 5/10 of a second, you have to figure that out. It's it's the number isn't half. It's somewhere else. So at half the time, you've only gained a third of your velocity, right? Or something like that. So you're still not going. I have to think about that for a minute. It's how much you're getting added is just, yes, you're only going to add 5. So it's 2 meters. Okay. 2. And then 6. Okay. 6. 0.6 of a second would be 6. And then 0.8 of a second would be 4. How could it be 4? So the 6 is wrong. It would be 3. And then it would be at 8, you would be at 4. Yeah, and then at 10, you would be at 4.9. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't want to get that. The point is that gravity is not instantaneous. It takes time for pressure to happen. Okay, and this is the time curve, essentially. It's telling you, it's showing you that it starts off with a little pressure, and the pressure builds and builds and builds based on how free things are to fall. And if they can't free fall, well, then it's just a constant pressure that it applies, but it only applies 9.8 over this whole area, 1 second. So if I stand in one place, then the full 9.8 hits this one place. If I move across this thing, then there's only 1.2 here, and there's only 1.2 here, and there's only 1.2 here. The weight at any one position is much lower, depending on how fast I go through, how big I make 1 second. I can make the distance of 1 second a mile, and I'd have to distribute the whole 9.8 over the entire mile. The entire mile, it would be the 1.8. You're only getting 9.8 here. You can't get more. And if I shoot it faster, I go further, and I still only have 9.8 because it's still only 1 second of fall time. Fall distance. I just don't know how, like I said, how can these people be so obnoxiously arrogant when their argument is so pathetically stupid? Oh, fuck. There's just no intelligent life on this planet. All right, so we'll go try to find the Puro thing. So I have to go to my regular window there where I can't. Oh well, let's do this because this is so bad too. So you do a search on YouTube, and look at the crap you get. I mean, nothing racial in this. It's just that why are they showing me all this Hindi crap? You can't understand any of it. They're not showing me Russian videos. They're not showing me Mongolian videos. They're not showing me videos from Japan. They're not showing me Chinese videos. Why the fuck are they showing me all these motherfucking Hindi videos? And it's the whole category, right? So it's energy physics. It doesn't matter. You type physics in, you type energy in, you type science in, and this is all you get. All right. This is it. Sponsored. So there's sponsored links every 2 links. So this is the non-commercial alternative. Let's just understand the Googleplex. This is their non-commercial alternative, is they're shoving sponsored ads in the middle of all search results on Google and YouTube. Hiding them, with this little tiny, it's sponsored. Oh, I have to figure out that it's a fake link. Oh, okay. All right, but look at this. What's the fucking point? I have to go through all this and figure out which one of these fucking videos in fucking goddamn English? I mean, it's just such... Look, it goes on and on, and they all have the same generic, clickbaity icons. I mean, fuck this. This is how this is how you can do research on the internet. I get all Hindi, 99% of these goddamn fucking videos are Hindi videos. What the fuck? What is this? What the fuck is going on? Why? And there's not a single country, French, German, not a single other country is producing any physics videos. It's only Hindi ones? They're the only people doing physics videos? I mean, what the fuck? But it's useless. I mean, why the fuck would somebody want to go through this horse shit and try to figure out, oh, is there finally a video in English? I mean, fucking goddamn. I mean, this isn't complicated, and they don't give you any filtering choices, right? And then so they shove all these shorts in front of you, and you can't get rid of the goddamn things. I mean, I mean, it's just what the fuck. Yeah, they won't play my shorts, but they'll shove everybody else's in my fucking goddamn face constantly, and use these fucking filters, and they're fucking useless. Why don't they just have no shorts? Why isn't that here? Nothing. Okay, nothing under 2 minutes. Okay, something, so you have to choose between 4 to 20 minutes or over 20 minutes, right? So what the fuck? So yeah, there's a physics video that's 25 minutes. I have to click both categories or I might miss something. I mean, it's just too fucking ridiculous. This is what's running the most important part of our fucking goddamn civilization. Any hope for the world is being able to communicate with each other, and this is the horseshit that's running it. This fucking bullshit fucking goddamn Google monster. God damn it. Oh, anyway, I just hate you people. Jesus, the world you have fucking created, you lying sacks of garbage. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, all right. So now I have to go find it. The Piro video. Okay, there. That should be my comments. That doesn't look like my comments. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I need mentions, I guess. Gmail. Oh, damn it. You mean I'm going to have to undo this whole video? Let me see what's in there. Well, that's not going to help you much, right? That's just my address. And that's just the Sabine video. So, yeah, it's a forum. So, yeah, you didn't see anything. Okay. Never mind. Fuck. I mean, all this wasted time, you know, because I can't just open a goddamn browser and fucking watch, you know, be able to see and use my account. Fuck, because petty little Google employees are allowed to do this horse shit. Alright, channel comments and mentions, that's the one. So back to comments. So Piro, this fucking retard. And this is, again, it's all Piro's fault, right? Let's just understand. Piro gives these assholes some credibility. Yeah. And so he's just promoting lying and conniving and cheating. And so just making sure you piss on his grave good and fucking long. Because this asshole really deserves it. Because he knows goddamn better than this horse shit he's playing, these games he's playing. Alright, which takes more energy? Running a mile in 6 minutes or doing it in 30? So what the fuck does this have to do with gravity, right? First thing you'd say, oh yeah. So we're supposed to figure out how much energy you use. Let's see, when you're regularly walking, you're standing, you know, so that you're doing some work against gravity. You know, and then when you're running, you're kind of leaping up into the gravity. So that is a little bit more work, you could argue. But you are gaining more distance by leaping, okay? You know, but what the fuck does this have to anything to do with sliding across thin ice or rolling something across a scale? So this is the typical Piro lie bullshit, right? You make a simple argument that if, you know, I had road here and I had road here and I roll something and it rolls across this scale, the faster it rolls across the scale, the less it weighs. Now that's an absolute fact, and it absolutely does prove that gravity is a time-dependent force. That you need time to collect gravity. You don't have it instantly. Okay, you don't get the full measure of gravity in an instant. To get the 9.8, you have to sit in it for 1 second. You know, they don't believe that. They don't believe that's true. So yeah, so he asked this question. I wonder if he actually has an answer, right? You know, because it's a complicated question in terms of, you know, this is the same idea as that if you launch something into space and you use a lot of energy to give it a high velocity, well, you do make the huge gains of huge efficiency because you're in the gravity less time. So even though you're doing more work in a short amount of time, it's not really less work than taking a longer time to do it. So you certainly could argue when you're only going to be exercising for 6 minutes versus exercising for, say, 30 minutes, and say you're exercising at a much slower rate, okay, you're using less calories, over the 30 minutes per minute, but are you actually using less total calories would be the question. And I don't think the ratio is going to be 6 to 30. It's probably going to be something like 3 to 30, but who cares? Because of the fact that you will be losing some energy to the fact that doing it quickly requires you to stay off the surface. That's the advantage of running, is you're not hitting the surface. You're leaping over the surface. Oh God, these people are so stupid. So then, I don't mind people trying to argue with Piro, but sometimes your arguments have to be better than his. Anyway, and so then Piro says, if the scale is big enough for the cart to be on the scale the whole time. So again, there's no carts here, but regardless, even if there was a cart, yes, it has to fit on the scale, right? If half of the cart's on the scale and half of it's off the scale, that would sort of be cheating, right? That's like saying, well, I could put my foot on thin ice and keep my other foot on the ground. Well, that's cheating. All right. You would find the weight does not depend on its velocity. So, of course, that's just nonsense. It's just, again, he's actually arguing to you. Okay, 5-year-olds, 10-year-old kids. 10-year-old kids can figure this out. He's actually arguing to you, it doesn't matter how fast you go across the scale. It's going to read exactly the same number no matter. You could just stand on it, and it's going to read the same number that if you went across it really quick. Absolutely not true. Of course, he can't provide a link to any such nonsense. It's just absolute. It's infantilely silly and stupid. All right, and then his other comment is, Gary uses the example of holding a weight by hand as taking energy. Yes, I used the example of lifting 100 pounds slowly. Let's say you take 10 seconds to lift it. That's 10 9.8s acting on the weight. So it weighs, let's say the weight's 100 pounds. Well, now it weighs 100 pounds in 1 second of gravity. Takes a full second. Okay. And now it's going to weigh 100 pounds for 10 full seconds. And if you lift it quickly through the gravity, then you're only in the gravity, say, 1 second. Well, then it's only 9.8. And you've only lifted 100 pounds per second. You haven't lifted 1,000 pounds per second. Okay. By hand as taking energy work. Ask him these questions about the distinction between that and something sitting on a spring at equilibrium. What the fuck could that possibly mean? So again, I've already done this example 500 times. 113. He's Piro's saying, so 10-year-olds. Piro's saying, right? Okay, I got two equal masses. I'm going to move them exactly the same. I'm going to take one of them and put it on the scale. That's 1 unit of energy. And I'm going to take the second one, put it on a scale. They say that's 3 units of energy. Now I have 4 units of energy. Same exact action. So that's 1 unit of energy. 4 units. Like magic. It only weighs twice as much, but somehow it's 4 units of energy, right? That's what they're saying to you. Do you believe them? Do you think that's reasonable? The same exact action is 1 unit of energy, and then I do the same exact action again, and now it's 3 units of energy? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think even 10-year-olds can understand, no, that can't be true. The same thing can't produce different amounts of energy, no. No, if it's the same thing, it's the same energy. Yeah, the same action has to produce the same energy. You can't magically produce 3 times as much energy with exactly the same motion. Now, exactly the same motion can't make free energy. Yeah, okay. And so obviously there's no such thing, the sitting at equilibrium is, again, the simple argument that what the scale is measuring as a displacement is the fact that you move into the earth first. You're imposing on the earth. The earth has to push you back. And that's what you're seeing. The first act, the earth pushes you back, but it can only push you back here. It can't push you all the way back. So it pushes you back because it just pushes back with an amount of force. And it just keeps happening. Your initial force keeps the scale pushed in because your initial force was the first act. And it can't undo the first act. And obviously the gravity is continuous. So, obviously you push in, the earth pushes back, but you're pushing in again because of gravity. Now, if I made gravity disappear, then yeah, you would, I could have you're in gravity and then I can turn off gravity. So you're in gravity, you push down, and then the scale will pop all the way up if I turn gravity off. But we're not turning gravity off. So the scale has to stay down. If that's what he's asking. Who knows what he's asking, right? The question is so bizarrely out of any context. You're just ask him these questions. What questions? What the fuck are you talking about? About the distinction between that and something sitting on a spring at equilibrium. How the fuck are you going to make any sense out of that? I can't, but that's typical Piro. Change the subject and talk shit. Garbage. Just type incoherent, rambly crap. That's what intelligent people do on Earth. Just so bad. And obviously he's not. He's a lot dumber than I thought he was, frankly. And he's a religious kook. Clearly. He's got some agenda. He's got some baby magical theory in his head of how the universe works. Because he thinks he's a shapeshifter and a spirit god. So, alright. Yeah, this is... Oh, God, there's just no point. There's just no point anymore. Oh, God. Just... Oh. No sign of intelligent life. I can only suggest that just it's my hope, okay, that you get what you fucking deserve, okay, and that deserve it should be connected to the amount of integrity and honest logic you've used your brain to contrive. So if your brain has just schemed to cheat, then yes, you should get something rather unpleasant as a reward. Because you suck as a human being. And that's all you people are doing, is just cheat wherever the fuck you can. And it's really... it's just... So, like I said, who knows? I had some personal delusions, okay, that humanity was actually progressing. We did land on the moon, we did these certain milestone things. And it's just been all fail for the last 3 decades. And you're just saying, maybe that's going to be the new trend. Maybe the getting smarter is over and people are just going to get dumber and dumber and dumber because of this mush these morons are talking. Just tragic, really. A human is a terrible waste of a brain. It seems quite obvious. Just... Yeah, might as well just, forget it. Don't bother with all those neurons because they're not going to use any of them to do anything honest. Sadly.